Hey guys, welcome back to World of Tanks. My name is Bruce and today I want to present advanced tips and tricks for your medium tank gameplay. With those tips you will be able to master the toughest tanks in the game, lightly armored glass cannon medium tanks. Let's go. Medium tanks offer the greatest flexibility in World of Tanks. This is why I like to play them most. They have heavy tank firepower, at least on higher tiers. They are much more mobile compared to heavy tanks and they can play vision games because they have much better camo. Of course they trade armor, and for most players this lack of armor makes them difficult to play. In this video I will give you 5 golden tips and tricks so that you can master them. Tanks like this Leopard PTA, extremely strong but with no armor whatsoever. So what do you need to do in order to play these tanks successfully? Let's jump into some gameplay and see what you need to do. Alright, so first game in the Leopard PTA. We spawn on Studzianki in a tier 10 matchup, and as I said, in this video I want to explain how you can successfully play medium tanks like the Leopard PTA, and this will be our example in today's video. So we will concentrate on this tank because it stands for medium tanks which have no armor whatsoever, which are paperly thin armored, and which are so-called glass cannon tanks. So tanks which are pretty difficult to play as, once again, you do not have any armor. Now my first tip for you, if you play such tanks, and you can, like the Leopard PTA is not the only tank, of course, this also counts for the Leopard 1, for tanks like the Leo, the Swedish tier 7 tank, for lots of mid-tier medium tanks which do not have any armor, for tanks like, for example, the Italian medium tanks, the standard B on tier 9, for example, and also other tanks. So there are lots of tanks who have not, which do not have any armor, and which you have to play differently compared to tanks like the Object 430U. So my first tip is you should make use of the other skills. A tank which doesn't have armor usually has other strength, and that can be, for example, camo value, and with a good camo value you can play spotting games, or vision games as I call it. You can go to a bush, you can get the first shot opportunity just like we are doing in this situation right here, and then you can make a first shot and then fall back and hide behind cover, and this way make damage without getting shot. Now of course you have to watch out for smart players. If you do this a couple of times, let's say 2 to 3 times, then smart players will understand in which bush you are and will blind fire this bush. This is why I went to this adjacent bush right here to give me the surprising factor in order to make damage. You can also use your mobility. Now using the mobility is pretty difficult to explain. I made tons of videos in which I showcase tanks and showcase their mobility, or how you can make use of the mobility, I should say. So feel free to browse my channel. Now I also made this video right here. It's called Trading Positively, and this video shows what you can do in order to deal damage without getting shot by your opponents. And in the end, this is what you want to do in every game in World of Tanks, because you can, if you can outtrade the opponents, then yeah, you will simply win the game. Or let's say if the majority of your team is able to outtrade the opponents, then you will be able to win the game. Alright, so in this situation the adversary team is playing pretty aggressively, and this basically brings me to tip number 2. In a tank which does not have any armor, you cannot play as aggressively as compared to a tank like, for example, the KPZ-50T in a hull down situation, because you cannot rely on your armor, and because you simply will not bounce any shots. So as soon as you enter a, let's say, an intense fight against an opponent, then you will trade 1 for 1, and that's not what you want to do, because if you trade 1 for 1, in the Leopard PTA with its 1700 HP, this means that you will only get, let's say, 4 to 5 shots each game, and this will only be an average result, but not an above average result that you want to achieve playing those kind of tanks. So tip number 2 is you have to be patient. You have to play less aggressively, and you have to try to see opportunities once they arise. And that's exactly what I'm doing right here. It maybe look, or maybe it looks like a let's say an uninteresting game, but that's just the way you should play those tanks. I'm trying to blind fire those bushes right here. I do not get spotted, which tells me that there's no tank in this bush. Now the leopard 1 is making pressure. He is advancing, and so I want to help him out. I do not want to push into such a situation all on my own, but I want to help this tank. Now I told my teammate, which is playing the KPZ-50T, to also support me, and so with 3 tanks in one particular position, we can of course now take on the fight. Unfortunately, I bounce my first shot, but once again with 3 tanks, we will be able to finish off this Char Future 4. Nice. So far we only took 1 shot damage by the GSO tank, and we already made 1688 damage. So yeah, I told you to stay patient, and if you want to learn more about being patient and how being patient can turn out in a positive way, then check out this video right here. It's called the most important skill in World of Tanks, which is, little spoiler, which is patience. So feel free to check this video out right here. Yeah, so the patient gameplay, that's what you want to do in a tank like the Leopard PTA. You want to, let's say, you do not want to conduct redline sniping or redline camping and just stay at the rear of the map. You want to play actively alongside your teammates, but you do not want to play too aggressively. You rather want to see where you get one or another opportunity, and you want to stay a bit more defensively, a bit more passively compared to tanks like the KPZ-50T. So let's see how this one goes. Leopard 1 and KPZ-50T are making pressure. Object 268 and Gonkiewicz are also advancing. So let's see how it goes. I want to stay here, and maybe if they spot an adversary tank, then maybe I can conduct the support role. Fortunately, he's behind this little hill. And then maybe I can conduct the support role and help my team and basically make more damage. That's what I want to do. Now, heavy tanks are also making pressure. FV is taking out. Okay, here's the GSO. So let's go to this bush right here. Maybe we can take a shot onto this tank. No, there's the wreck just next to him. Okay, that's super unfortunate. But I do not want to move more to the right hand side, simply because I want to stay in the bush to not get spotted. Leopard PTA is making pressure a little bit early, and also a little bit risky if you ask me, because he is driving over an open field onto which the adversary team does have a lot of crossfire situations. He's also on top of the hill. So once he's revealed, he will be taken out, in my opinion. So we want to go to the E5 position and then try to open up a crossfire situation. Yeah, I tried to go to this bush right here. I checked out whether I got spotted or not. This is also a very important tip. So only if you are 100% sure that you cannot get spotted, you should go to a bush and remain there. In all other cases, you should go into the bush, instantaneously fall back, and then check out whether Sixth Sense is coming on, and then this is the point in time where you can decide whether you can stay in this bush or not. So that's what you want to do. Now, we did not do a lot of damage in the last 2 to 3 minutes, which is fine. This is the patience I'm talking about if you play a tank like the Leopard PTA. But chances will arise, and as you can see, we are now in a perfect situation out of which we can take tanks under fire once the Gonkiewicza spots the 1 lane. That's exactly what we want to do. We want to position ourselves so that we can give fire support to our tanks, and then maybe later on we can make a more aggressive gameplay. So far, I do not want to be the tank who is pushing out, because yes, we still have 1300 HP to trade. However, if the adversary tanks will be able to take 2 or 3 or 4 shots onto our tank, which is always possible if we cross an open field, then we will get taken out and we will not be able to make any more damage. Here you go, nice, bam, another 444 damage, lovely. And can we get more damage? No, he's now behind the building, maybe? With this pixel shot? No. This was not a hit, otherwise, maybe it was, I don't know, I'm not sure. Now I want to do another blind shot, maybe once again to take him out, and if he is then not deleted, indicated at the top right corner of the map, then this tells me that he has completely fallen back into cover. So, okay, so if we take a look at the remaining tanks, we know where the FV215B is, actually where both are. We know where the whole re is. And then we still have the RT and also the CS63. So our CS63 actually has fallen back, so we do not know this actual position. But what we can do is we can now cash in our HP and move to this position. This bush is pinged by our FV215B, indicating that there's the CS63. Let's aim in, and nice, let's take one shot. And he can take a shot onto us, which is fine, because we still have our half of our HP remaining. And now it's time for another smart gameplay. So let's wait 10 seconds until we are not spotted anymore. And then we want to go into this bush right here. The problem is that the CS63 is also in a bush. Now he will be most likely in this position right there. We took a shot onto this position. We did not get spotted, indicating us that he is currently behind the rock, not spotting anything, but he will soon move out of cover. And so it is time to take a blind shot. As you can see, the other tank took a blind shot onto the right hand side, so we want to take a blind shot onto the left hand side, and voila, we can take him out. Excellent. And now we can simply rush in and try to deal even more damage. So can we get a shot onto the RT? Nice, yes, so we can take out the RT. Excellent. And all of a sudden we made 3k damage and 1k assisting damage, an excellent result in the Leopard PTA. And part of this was basically we stayed patient until the end of the game, but also we traded positively, and that is exactly what you want to do in such a tank. Another 432 alpha damage, nice. So yeah, I think a pretty good showcase how you want to play paperly thin armor tanks like the Leopard PTA. Can we get another shot onto this tank? No, we cannot. We're spotted, of course. And this is the only remaining tank, so now we can move out of cover. Let's see, can we get the kill shot? Yes, we can. We make 3 damage, which is fine, but overall a pretty decent result. Alright, second game. Once again we spawn with a Leopard PTA, once again in a tier 10 matchup, so we are low tier. However, as I said multiple times, playing tier 9 medium tanks does not feel as being in a low tier situation, because we have tier 10 gun handling, or not tier 10 gun handling, but tier 10 firepower, and we are only 1 tier apart from the top tier. So this is why, as of now, before Wargaming introduces tier 11, tier 9 is the sweet spot in World of Tanks if you want to play high tier tanks. Alright, so let's see what we get on Cliff on this map, spawning in the south. Once again, as we learned in the previous game, we want to stay patient and we do not want to risk too much at the beginning. We simply want to see how the game develops and then understand how we can react to what is going on the map. And this basically brings me to my tip number 2, or sorry, tip number 3 actually, which is you should have minimap awareness even more as compared to tanks on as compared to other tanks like heavy tanks or like heavily armored medium tanks. Now we got our first opportunity, which is to take a shot onto the Leopard 1. Let's see. Oh, okay, that was super unfortunate. He took a shot onto us. Of course, he has an extremely nice gun handling, but he destroyed our gun, so we had a reduced gun accuracy, and this way we actually did not hit the Leopard 1. So all in all, my idea was to trade positively against the Leopard 1, which did not work out, because in the end he also made one shot onto us and we only hit him once. Anyway, so yeah, if you want to learn more about what minimap awareness actually means, then check out this video right here. I know it's a bit outdated, at least when it comes to the sound quality. It's, I think, 3 years old or maybe 4 years old. So if you are into extremely good sound quality, then this video is not for you. But I still recommend to check it out, simply because it incorporates 10 golden tips for minimap awareness, and it tells you which information you can actually get out of the minimap, which is super important to understand, especially if you play a paper-thin armored tank like the Leopard PTA. So yeah, take a look at the minimap. The adversary team does have a very good position out of which it can threaten us, and this is the G9 position, so that's a problem, and that's why we need to relocate into this position right here in order to counter this position. Now looks like the AMX is turning his turret towards the Lorraine 50T, which I do not understand, because he is not in a position out of which he can threaten us. Sorry dude for pushing you a little bit. Let's see whether we can take a shot onto this tank. Nice, we can make 1 damage. And this current situation in which we are under pressure brings me to the next tip. With the Leopard PTA, with a sniping tank like this tank, you always want to follow one golden rule, and that is you have to bring distance between you and other tanks. Now, you want to work with your view range circle and the render range circle, and you always want to, at best, position yourself between those 2 rings in order to not get spotted once you take shots. And then you want to simply use your DPM in order to make as much damage as possible. So this is why we have to retreat, and we have to take 1, maybe 2 shots from adversary tanks in order to go to this position to bring distance between us and the T30 and the AMX, the AMX 13, what is it, 105, and also the Leopard PTA of the adversary team. So as we go here, we can first of all support our team in order to clear this flank. So let's go behind this rock. The 60p has just shot, so this gives us a couple of seconds, about 15 seconds, until we have in order to take a shot and then fall back, so that he cannot take a shot onto us. And that's how we want to trade positively against the 60TP. We want to use his reload time so that he does not have a chance to take us under fire. I will certainly not move out of cover right now, because I expect him to already be reloaded. Maybe if we use his turret, his slow turret traverse, if he points his gun towards our opponent, towards our teammates, just like he's doing, this gives us the chance to move out of cover and to take a shot onto him. This is smart gameplay, and this is what I mean with trading positively, and this is exactly what the first video recommendation is all about. To deal damage without losing any HP. This is the goal in World of Tanks. And now we have brought distance between us and the T30 and all the other tanks, so we are in a safe position out of which we can take enemy tanks under fire. Now, if you want to learn more about second line gameplay, which is pretty important for tanks like the Leopard PTA, which do not have any cover, then check out this video right here, which is a video about the convoy, but it teaches how to conduct second line gameplay and basically what second line gameplay actually is. So feel free to check this one out as well. So yeah, can we take a shot onto the Arty? Let's see. Okay, his Arty is already killed. And now what we want to do is we want to open up a new angle onto the adversary tanks, and we want to make use, or we want to gain map control in order to help our team to create crossfire situations to adversary tanks. That's exactly what we want to do. I do not want to get spotted. This is why I'm moving right here next to this little cliff, so that the tanks from the hill cannot spot me. They can spot me once I go into this position, but now I am behind cover. The only problem is that good players will now know that I'm standing in this bush right here. So here you go. We can take him out. Who's turning the turret towards me? I'm spotted. I think I'm not spotted. Let's wait 10 seconds until I'm not spotted anymore, and then let's go back into the bush. And you know what? I think I would blind fire a bush because I'm expecting the light tank to be in the bush on top of the hill. I'm loading HE to blind fire this bush, and okay. I get taken out. Looks like the AMX 13105 has been in another bush, which is alright. In the end, we made 2.6k damage, 3k combined. And I think this was once again a decent showcase how you should play a tank like the Leopard PTA, which does not have any armor. And with applying all those tips, you will be able to play this tank successfully. Alright, in the end, we win this game. So let's now instantaneously jump into the third and last game. Okay, third and last game. Once again, in a low tier situation with the Leopard PTA. And in the previous games, we learned how to trade positively and how to out-trade our opponents. We learned that we want to use our all our strength, not only our firepower, so also our mobility and our spotting ability. We learned that we need to have minimap awareness, and also that we want to bring distance between us and between the other tanks at all times if possible. Now I want to talk about the fifth and last tip for this video, but for me it looks like this tip is ultra important, and so many players do not follow this tip and actually do this wrong, in my opinion. But first of all, let's go to a relatively defensive position and let's just see how the game develops. Once again, this is what you want to do in such a tank at all times. So you go, let's take the first shot. We do not hit the Leopard 1. He was falling back into cover, so I could not fully aim in my gun, which is unfortunate. I can take a shot right now. I'm spotted, so I will move back and wait 10 seconds until I'm not spotted anymore. Should load HE to the Leopard 1. I do not do this, which is fine, but I can track him. He has now used his repair kit, and maybe I can take another shot. Now, let's see. Bam, another 394, and now actually I'm loading HE, but now it is actually too late, which is fine. Out of this defensive position, and with adversary tanks which make mistakes, we could already make 1200 damage. And let's see, we can take a shot onto the Leopard PTA right here. Nice. So this is another wonderful position for a tank like the Leopard PTA, in which you want to open the game with being, let's say, not that aggressively compared to other superbly armored tanks. Okay. So let's see how it goes. Now, tip number 2 applies. We need to stay patient, and we simply do not want to risk too much. Now this map is excellent. Now this map is basically a map with, let's say, 3 corridors. So if you advance, you will meet your adversary tanks frontally, and that's not what you want to do with the Leopard PTA. You will take out this tank. Nice, excellent. So 2.3k damage, 1 kill after only about 3 minutes into the game, which is excellent so far. Alright, let's talk about the most important tip, which is tip number 5. Even though you do not have any armor, you can still play aggressively in this tank. Because, yes, you will not bounce any shots, but you still have your HP that you can trade. This is why I always recommend to not waste your HP throughout the game, but to preserve your HP, because that will allow you to then at the end cautiously trade in your HP to make an aggressive push. And this aggressive push can lead to gaining map control to basically help your team to win the game, but this can also simply lead to making more damage and to take out a tank which is maybe in a very strong defensive position, that you can then dig out in order to allow your team to advance further, or, you know, one or another thing. Now, if you take a look at the minimap, and once again, minimap awareness, you can see that our team has advanced on the right flank, is about to advance on the left-hand side, so we will not get a shot from the H3 position, and so we can now advance down into this riverbed and take out the leopard PTA, and this will allow us to go to the type 5 heavy position later on. So this is the point in time where I want to play aggressively in the leopard PTA and where I want to consciously trade in my HP. I'm accepting that the leopard PTA will now take me under fire and will cause damage to my tank, which is fine, and which actually doesn't happen in this game because the leopard 1 player is knowing what he is doing. He has monitored me taking a shot onto the leopard PTA, then this tank tried to turn around, and then this was the point in time that the leopard 1 player understood and basically used in order to take out the leopard PTA. So excellent gameplay right here. And by the way, the leopard PTA is has a fantastic HE shell. If you do not know, 105 millimeters of pen with then an extremely high alpha damage. This way we could cause 480 damage onto the leopard PTA. So yeah, once again, in my opinion, you should always try to trade positively, not only in a paperly thin armored tank, but also in every other tank, also like also in a tank like the Object 430U or the KPZ-50T. But the difference is you cannot play as aggressively in such a lightly armored tank because you do not have the armor. But this must not preclude you from cashing in your HP cautiously, not cautiously, but consciously at the end of each game. I do not want to take a shot by this tank. Can we pen him? Maybe into the cupola? No, we bounced this shot right here. Unfortunate, but you know what? It's all good. In the end, we made 3.2k damage, about 3.3k damage actually. 7k combined, approximately. And so overall, a decent result in the leopard PTA. And I think with those 5 golden tips, you will be able to master all those lightly armored tanks that you can play in World of Tanks. And if you are able to basically decrease or get rid of the so-called weakness of not having any armor, then you will be able to maximize those tanks, and you will learn the strength of those tanks, and you will basically also you will start loving the strength of those slightly armored tanks, and it will change your basically your behavior, and you will more often play those tanks because they bring strength to the table that simply heavily armored tanks cannot bring to the game. And this is why I like tanks like the leopard PTA so much. Alright guys, that was it for today with the video about how to master lightly armored medium tanks in World of Tanks. Do you like to play those kind of tanks? Do you think my 5 golden tips will help you out to get better? And what do you think about the leopard PTA on tier 9? Just leave a comment in the comment section down below. And as always, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. This really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. If you find this video extremely helpful, then feel free to support me via Super Thanks. This way you can make a one-time donation. You just have to click this button underneath the video. If you adore this channel and you want to consistently support me, then consider subscribing to my channel or become a member, once again with the click of a button underneath the video. Thanks a lot, and I see you next time in another World of Tanks video.